ठीक है,
कितनी देर है? ठीक है।
anything is fine.
हेलो
हाँ.
एवरीवन। So hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. As all of you know this already, I am a dermatology resident, second year, and I make videos on medical related content. Today I have with me a very special guest. Ma'am is my senior from mamc, and she is currently doing her srship at PGI Chandigarh. So ma'am did her DNB in radiology from Batra Institute, and today we are going to discuss the pros and cons and all the queries that people send us about MD and DNB courses. So, welcome, ma'am. I'll start with my first question. So, a lot of the people are very apprehensive of the passing rates in DNB. What is your take on that?
So, first of all, thank you, Arushi, for having me here. It's a pleasure meeting you and discussing such an important topic here. So, the passing rate for DNB, as I was also told when I was picking up DNB, that this is one of the most or the biggest drawbacks, that the passing rate is lesser in comparison to our MD counterparts. But having said that, I feel that anybody who's cleared NEET and has gone into a DNB program is very well capable of passing it. And with every passing year, the the pass percentage is increasing. Nobody at DNB actually thinks of keeping you purposely or failing you purposely. If you've studied for 3 years, you've attended your hospital classes and your hospital rounds, you have a very, very high chance of passing. So
You
I don't think
and
passing should
you
be a option, for when you are thinking of opting DNB or not.
okay. So you so in fact didn't just pass it in the first go. You also ended up getting a rank 4 in the SRship exam. So that speaks a lot about how good the course is. And also, I personally feel like even if they hold you back, they can't really hold you back for your lifetime. And six
Yeah,
months here and there do not really matter a lot in the long run.
yeah.
So, coming to the second problem that a lot of people think about, a lot of people have this misconception that once you do DNB, you can't really go abroad because DNB is not equivalent to MD in some way or the other. So, what do you
Uh,
have to say about that?
I feel I personally haven't kind of faced any discrimination regarding DNB or MD. This was a notion maybe quite a time back when DNB did not function through NEET. But especially since when it has started functioning through NEET, we've seen people at very, very good ranks, even ranks which are lesser than 500, they're opting for DNB over MD. So
Yes.
definitely, DNB is one of a very, very upcoming and new, I won't say new per se, but a very upcoming choice in most of the students these days. And regarding the potential for going abroad, I have actually seen cases where DNB is preferred over MD because DNB being a national degree, not a state level degree, and a board certified degree, it is preferred by many countries outside.
Yeah, because and the notion that it's a harder exam to pass, and
Yeah.
also like you don't get any sort of reservation or something in the DNBs. So that I think adds to the credibility of the degree,
Yes,
although I
very
don't
true.
know how much those things are important. And also like last year when I was a little confused about picking DNB in Delhi or Bombay and going for MD in any of the other states. So I had talked to you, and you had also very nicely pointed out some of the perks of doing DNB. Like DNBs, when you do DNBs, you get the option of going to bigger hospitals which have better machines, better facilities, and also like the staff is very cordial. The toxicity is very less. You do less amount of clerical work, and you
Yeah.
get the exposure of a private setup, or let's say a corporate setup, in the sense that you work with high profile clients and you work with doctors who are working in the private setup, so you sort of build contacts also. So I think there are DNB has its own perks as well.
True.
But
Yeah.
that said, I want you to clarify for us the difference between DNB in like the government hospitals, which also have MD courses, and DNBs in private hospitals. So, what is the basic difference between the two? And is one of these better than the other?
See, what I feel is that if a medical college, a government medical college has a DNB program running, so first of all, they already have a structured academic curriculum in their institute. So they might have an upper hand related to academics per se. But again, the drawbacks which are there of an MD hospital, which might be because in a government place you might not get all the modalities per se. In my field, radiology, you require all the four modalities to be there, especially in your training program. So if the institute does not have all the four modalities, then I think choosing a corporate is much better. But if you are getting if you have to choose between maybe a corporate from a non-metro city over DNB in a government hospitals, then I think it is safe enough to choose a government hospital as well. Because as they have half
Okay.
of the students, doing MD over there, the credibility
Okay.
in the mind of people might be a bit more, but there is not much difference on paper, to tell you frankly.
Okay. And sometimes, like, I think it varies from place to place and also from branch to branch. So you should do your thorough research before you pick up the choices, because, like, in branches like derma and radio, you need a lot of machines and all. So that exposure, and also, like, I'll say in derma, getting the exposure for cosmetics and all of those high profile clients and all. So that matters a bit. So if you're getting it at some place like Cooper Hospital, or, for radiology, if you're getting it at Stephens or Batra, I would say, so they might actually be better than, going to some place which has an MD program. So you have to do your research beforehand.
Yeah.
Coming to the research part, like, what are the things a person should keep in mind before they pick up, either of the colleges, like the preferences when people are setting? So what are the things that they should keep in mind?
So this is actually the most common question that everybody asks in regarding DNB. So there always is a list that your seniors have made during their time, which is passed on to the juniors as well. But I would suggest that DNB being a relatively newer thing or a newer thing for the aspirant, not per se as a program, it's an old program. But we are not very well versed with DNB. We are well versed with the MD program. So we have a bit of more understanding for the MD colleges. We know which are good and which fall a bit back in the category. In DNB, we don't have that idea. So it is very important to do the research while we are opting the DNB college at the time of sitting for the counseling. So I think main things that you have to inquire, especially in my field of radiology, is to first note that they are giving you an exposure or rotation which is in their curriculum in all the modalities. They are giving you good hands-on. They have good academics because many of times the hospital is very good. It is a good functioning hospital with a very good patient input as well. But the resident program the hospital per se. So this has to be cleared that the hospital name is not equivalent to the residency that is going on there. So you have to make that research yourself. And this is also possible that maybe at the time of your seniors, the hospital wasn't giving maybe ultrasound posting or the CT posting. But now maybe at the time of your counseling, it has started giving. So it will fall above in the category. So you have to make a research at that point of time when you are going or sitting in for the counseling.
So basically, I'll summarize this in the sense that you have to see the hospital might have tens of facilities, but whether they're allowing their residents to, use those facilities, or to, they are sort of giving you a hands-on exposure or not, that is something that you have to inquire. You can't
Yeah.
just go by the name of the hospital. So suppose Medanta has so many seats, Medanta has all the machines, all the facilities, but they might not be allowing their residents or the DNB resident program to, have certain rotations. So you have to inquire that as well. The hospital having the facilities is not it. There is a lot beyond that as well. Okay, now something like a lot of people think that the academics is not at par with the MD programs, or, the academics lag behind or something. So how much is that true?
See, I would say that in DNB during my curriculum, there were two forms of academics happening. One was within the hospital that we had, all the seminars and all the cases that we were doing within the hospital. But apart from that, DNB has actually started a very good academic program in which they hold all India or a national level of classes or with all
Yeah,
the
every
esteemed.
third day, I think.
Yeah. For me, it was weekly actually. I think they've increased
Okay.
the frequency of it.
In so because I had picked up a seat in round one, so I used to get their mails. So they for Dharma, they are
Yeah.
keeping it every third day, and that too, like, with the best faculties in the country.
Yeah. No, actually, now they've increased the frequency of it. Initially, when they started at my time, it was weekly. And the faculty actually is quite good. All the renowned faculties from all over the country are taking those classes, and the classes are actually quite crisp. They are actually the ones that you need to, focus for your exam purpose as well. So I think maybe, and plus them being online, you have the liberty of attending them. Not because most of the time in MD you were so much, stuck with your duties that you're not able to go and attend
Come to
classes as well.
work. Hmm.
So I
Yes,
think that
yes.
is also one good part. So I don't think academics is
Hmm.
much of an issue. They are equally good as compared to their MD counterparts.
And what about the bond and the stipend? Because a lot of students are confused about that. Some people even think that DNB students do not get paid at all.
No, no, that's not true at all. So DNB actually
Hmm.
has every state wise they've kept a minimum amount of money that has to be paid, which should almost be equal to your MD counterparts in that state. So, for instance, at Batra, we got 59,000, uh, 56, 59, and 61,000 in first, second, and third year. So this was in Batra. This was like, I think, one of the like, no hospital had lesser than this. There were hospitals which were giving even more salary than this, even up to 80,000. So DNBs do give a good salary, more than 50,000, I would say, at least in the state of Delhi. But even in the single state, the salary might differ a bit, but it has to be over a bare minimum, which the DNB specifies. More than
Okay.
that, you also have a tuition fee that you pay. Like at my time, it was 1.25 lakhs per annum. So I think it is quite reasonable because you are actually. So that is not a big
Hmm.
problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So actually, I had also inquired this about derma a bit. So mainly because I didn't like the derma DNBs that they have in Delhi much, but
Hmm.
all of them were paying the same 1.1 lakh 18,000 stipend. So I inquired at three places. They were giving the same stipend. The bond structure was also same, and I actually was considering the one of the DNBs in Bombay because there I found that the DNBs were much better. And what the people there told me was most of the DNBs have the salaries and the bond structure as per the MD course only. But you have to do your research. That I got to know through your experience, that it might also vary. So you have to just inquire. There will always be a number when you get your allotment list. When you get your allotment letter, there's a number by the side of it. So you can go and just call that number up. Or there are some apps also. Like I used Designer during my time, so those apps, they specify about everything about all of the courses, so you can go and check those out as well. Okay, so we'll be like winding it up. Just one last question. So do DNB people have to do one extra year of SRship? Because for becoming an associate professor you need at least 3 years of SRship experience. Now is it one extra year for DNB people?
No, actually, that depends on the number of beds from which you've done the DNB, like the hospital, how many beds the hospital has. So if it is a more than
Hmm.
400, sorry, 500 bedded hospital, then it is
Hmm.
equivalent to an MD course. If it is less than
Hmm.
500, then 1 year extra SRship is required. So this also becomes an important point while you are choosing DNB
Hmm.
hospital, that you should
Hmm. Hmm.
preferably go for a bigger hospital which has more than 500 beds.
Actually, and also like you have to keep in mind all the general things that you see for all the colleges, like some of the things that I've mentioned in one of my previous videos, like toxicity, or the machines and all that they
Hmm.
have, and stuff like that. So you can just like go and check it out, or if you want us to make a detailed video on any of these topics, you can just mention in the comment section below. So before we wind up, one last word from my side is that DNB is not an inferior course at all. This is one of the biggest misconception that people have. In fact, we have repeatedly said in the video also, some of the DNBs might actually be better than most of the MDs, most of the famous and the best MDs in the country, because they might actually end up giving you better exposure of the private setup, better machines, better learning, and a lot more perks are there. So even the toxicity, as we discussed, is lesser. So before going to a private college or before giving up on your dream branch, I would say you should definitely consider DNB. It's a really good option.
Definitely.
Ma'am, anything from your side before we
No,
wind this
I
up?
I agree with whatever you've said, and also I think it is good to personally go and visit the hospital if you are thinking of choosing DNB. It gives you a better idea, and also after you've taken up the branch and taken up the hospital, it makes you feel content that you actually did your research and you've chosen the best for you. So
Yes.
that I would suggest personally for everybody to do. Rest, I think
Hmm.
we've covered most, not most, but maybe at least a small part of it.
Yeah, so that is also very true. Once you visit the hospital, you become very comfortable about,
Yeah,
going ahead with your decision of, and definitely, I would say that never compromise on your branch. Your branch is going to be there forever.
definitely.
The degrees and tags, these are for people, the branches for you. You won't be happy if you give up on your dream branch that easily.
True, true. The worst, or maybe, I mean, there are people who just, I feel bad when people ask me to make choice between, ma'am, whether should we take DNB radio versus maybe MS surgery or MD pediatrics. So I mean, I really want to, like you pointed out, tell them that always and always go for the branch. Imagine that you've gotten rank one in NEET, and then what would you choose? So if you are able to get
Hmm.
that branch from some other place or from some other hospital or from a DNB degree, I think you should definitely go for that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for this session. So you can just click on end recording.